Have you ever wondered what goes into your child's grade? You know what's high or low, of course, but what actually factors into that final score? Most of us went to school when grades could reflect anything. In one class, homework counted for 50%, but in another, the whole grade was built around tests. Maybe you had teachers who counted your participation, and maybe you could earn extra credit if you brought in a box of tissue. It varied from teacher to teacher, so you had to keep track of who counted what. It makes my head spin just thinking about it. Here at Round Lake, we don't want grades to be confusing, and just as importantly, we don't want them to fluctuate between classes. What we do want is for grades to have meaning. We want them to show what a student knows and is able to do. That's why every teacher calculates grades the same way. In our schools, you always know what goes into a student's grade. Let's break it down. First, we have standards. Basically, standards are the essential learning, the things students must learn in order to be successful. And we didn't just make these up. These are skills that come from nationally recognized bodies like Common Core or Next Generation Science. They're key skills that students around the country are learning. Our curriculum teams, which include district leaders and teachers from all grade levels, identified standards and discussed what it would look like for a student to master each standard. In other words, how will we know that a student has truly learned this skill? Then, those teams made up rubrics. Rubrics are kind of like a map that describes a student's journey to mastery. What it looks like when they're just starting to learn that skill, what it looks like when they're proficient, and what it looks like when they're advanced. Teachers share and discuss these rubrics with students in class. This way, students know exactly what they're aiming for. They know what they should be able to do in order to be considered proficient in a skill. When they take assessments, their teachers use these rubrics to grade, so students see on the rubric how they performed relative to each skill. This is much more specific and clear than simply receiving a letter or a percentage grade. If you saw 75% on a paper, what does that even mean? How would you know where to improve to get a better grade? If you saw this completed rubric, however, you'd know exactly where to improve. The rubric breaks down all the things that go into writing a good paper and tells you what your mastery of each skill is. So back to the grades. Teachers take the mastery levels from the rubric and put them into the gradebook. You can see the mastery levels for each skill in Infinite Campus. The scores that go into a student's final grade are the ones from the summative assessments. We have a whole video on formative and summative assessments, but in short, summatives are the tests, papers, and projects that happen closer to the end of a unit, when teachers have delivered a lot of instruction and students have had a lot of practice. Summative assessments are a final evaluation of a student's learning. The summatives are the only ones that factor into the grade because they happen after students have had many chances to try, fail, get feedback, try again, and improve at their own pace. On the other hand, formative assessments are for practice. They tell teachers and students alike how students are doing, but they don't go into the final grade because they happen early in the learning process, when students are just starting out. In fact, homework is a type of formative assessment. We never want to punish kids for messing up during practice, so a student's grade will never go down because of a low score on homework or formative assessments. So when you see your student's grade, you know it comes from summative assessments and from summatives alone. Homework, attendance, and class participation aren't factored in, although there's obviously a direct relationship between these things and success on summatives. Therefore, your student's grade more accurately reflects their actual learning in each subject area. At the end of the day, we want our grades to show what a student knows and can do. When you look at a grade in our district, you're looking at how your child did on summatives, and that's it. If you want to know how your child can do better on summatives, talk to their teacher. Teachers can talk you through your child's current mastery levels, and they can recommend work habits that your child can practice to achieve a higher level of mastery. As always, thanks for joining us here at the Parent Partnership Library.